What is up, Packers fans? Happy Packers Colts game day. I'm your host, Andy Herman, here on this live pregame show. Appreciate you guys taking the time to join, get those questions in. Should be able to get to a ton of questions. I think I'm going to have about 45 minutes to an hour here, just depending on how many questions you guys get in throughout the course of the chat. But assuming we've got plenty to go, we'll get to as many as we can. This is a game that is highly anticipated. And by that, I mean that I don't think anybody cares. That's sort of the vibe I've gotten all week. You know, we know that a lot of the players, the primary players, are not going to play in this particular game. The Packers have a ton of injuries, but that doesn't mean that there's not still things to glean and take away. One of those things, by the way, is not the score or the result of this game. It doesn't matter a whole heck of a lot. You do want to see a little bit more urgency, fire, passion from the team than they showed last week. I think we'll get that today. Whether that actually means anything on the scoreboard or not, it's tough to say. The Colts are probably going to play a little bit more of their primary players, and just they've got Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones that are probably going to play in this game. It just the Packers are going to be behind the eight ball when it comes to just talent when they're sitting out their players. We'll see. Maybe Indianapolis does a little bit more of that as well, but sort of time will tell, I guess, on that. But as long as we're seeing some of that urgency and that passion, even if they lose 30-10 again, I don't really care. I do want to see some of the fringe players on this team have that urgency because they're fighting for a freaking job. Let's see it. Last week, it did not go well for some of the players like Malik Heath, McCole Hardman, etc. But a lot of the young players did play well, and that's going to be, one of the real key things to kind of keep an eye on here. I know we had a chat immediately from Josue, I think it is, or Josue Productions. I'll be watching Barron Sorrell today. He played well last week. It's a perfect player to watch. This is one where you just take your eye off the ball. And it's a great thing if you're not used to that. If you're just used to kind of ball watching and, where's the ball going? If you have the opportunity, take your eye off the ball in this one. Just try to see how that feels a little bit. It's a little bit different. But watch individual players. Watch Barron Sorrell in this one. Watch Nasir Stackhouse. Watch, Brinson on the interior. Like, those are great players to watch. Watch Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton. It may not be, the sexiest experience, but guess what? Preseason football isn't about being the sexiest experience. It's about individual evaluations more than anything else. So it's a great day to kind of, again, try to take your eye off the ball and just watch some of those individual players, because that's ultimately what matters. By the way, just as an aside, I have no idea, and I mean no idea, how I have a voice this morning. Went to LCD Sound System yesterday, an unfreaking believable show. About an hour in, I made a conscious decision of like, hey, you kind of need your voice. It's what you sort of do for a living. Maybe tone it down like 1,000 notches, and then proceeded for the next hour to just yell and scream and sing at the top of my lungs. So no idea how I have a voice today, but I'm very grateful that I do. I will be here, obviously, for this pregame show. And then as soon as the game is done, we'll be doing a live postgame show presented by Luigi's Frozen Pizzas as well. So excited to do that. And hopefully I see a lot of you guys there immediately following the game to kind of break down some of those key performances that hopefully we did see on a positive note today. All right, with that, let's get to all of your amazing questions. First of all, Matthew, thank you so much for becoming a brand new YouTube member. You are epic and amazing. I appreciate you a ton. If you haven't checked out those memberships yet, today is a great day to do so. Reminder, Aaron Nagler and I will be doing the same thing we did last year, where it will be for Cheesehead TV and Pack-A-Day, Cheesehead TV newsletters, and then Pack-A-Day members. So if you want that members only content with Aaron Nagler and I, that will be available this upcoming season. So again, make sure to check that out if you have not already. What do you think of David Bakhtiari's comments on ramping up more in camp? I think he's probably right. I will say I do not have a degree in, any of that stuff and, anything when it comes to, I don't know, physiology or whatever that is, that whole sector of like how you want to get your body ready for sports and things like that. I do look into it a lot because my son is very much into every sport and plays a lot of soccer and has like 7 nights of sports a week. And it's a lot. So I do look into it a little bit, but he's probably right. And for those of you who are wondering, there's somebody, I think Eli maybe posted something to the effect of, hey, it's interesting that in practice during training camp, you have every team with all these injuries. And then in season, when these same players are practicing, you very rarely, if ever, hear of a player who got hurt at practice in like an actual practice. The interesting sort of, I guess, stab in the heart here is that David Bakhtiari was one of those players that did get hurt in a practice, notoriously. And that was such a huge moment in Packers recent history that really kind of changed the course of the team. But you more see a lot of injuries during training camp and not in practices leading up, to games and things like that. And Bakhtiari said basically it's because we do a really poor job of ramping up. You go from nothing to all of a sudden day one of camp, you've got like the 3 days that are sort of ramping up. And then like day 4, you're just immediately in pads, 2-hour practices and everything like that. I don't know the answer. If there is an answer, I would say that they should probably take those OTAs and mini camps and move them a couple weeks, move them right before the start of training camp. So take that, May, June period and give that to the players off, more time to rest their bodies and not be out there practicing, and then move it probably the 3 weeks, leading up to camp, and then ramp it up very gradually. So you've got your first week of OTAs. It's probably just more getting back in the weight room and with the team and everything like that. And then the week after that is probably just a lot more like walkthroughs and things like that. And then the week after that is more mini camps where you're going at like half pace, 3/4 pace, just getting the team more acclimated to it. That's probably a better way to do it. But again, I have no major in that. I cannot back it up. But Bakhtiari probably knows much better than I do. And I would sort of take his word for that. And I would just assume in general that it makes sense that you want to have a longer runway to ramp up your body for a full NFL season. It seems to make common logical sense, but I also get when the players are negotiating to be like, hey, we want less practices, fewer practices, less time at practice. Well, then when you get there, the teams are going to expect that you don't need a ramp up, that you've already done the ramp up on your own, and that when you come day one, you're ready to go and it's time to practice. So there's a give and take there where he's probably right, but the NFL is probably saying, hey, we only get you for so much time. Once you get here, you better be ready because there is no ramp up. We're ready to go day one. And so I think it's a little of column A, a little of column B, and it probably weighs on both the NFL and the players to kind of be a little bit better in those situations. Speaking of Bach, the line hasn't been the same without him. They were elite. Since that, they've been solid to good. I don't think it's just Bakhtiari, although that is a key piece of it. Corey Linsley was so freaking good. I think one of the players that doesn't quite get the recognition that he deserves for just how good that offensive line was at the time. Him and Bakhtiari on the same line was a cheat code. And they had a very, very, very talented offensive line with those guys. Now, I still think this offensive line, especially when you look around the league, is very good. I think you're going to need to see a jump from some of these players like Jordan Morgan. Hopefully Anthony Belton's ready to go because you're going to need that depth. I'd like to see what Elton Jenkins looks like as a full year as a center. I think it's going to be really good, but I want to see it, kind of in person. Sean Ryan, I think, looks really good at right guard. He had a little bit of a hiccup at center in this last game, but I thought at right guard, he looked really, really good. He continues to get better year over year. And then we'll just kind of see how this all gels together. But I'm still very bullish on this offensive line in totality. But yeah, the Bakhtiari, Corey Linsley days were special along the line. That's for sure. All right. I deleted a comment. I meant to ban the user, but that's okay. Hey, Andy, thanks for these. I thought Hopper looked good week 1. Is there any way for him to crack the linebacker rotation? What would he have to do? Yeah, talked about that on the pregame show today. One of the 3 players that I'm really kind of keeping an eye on in this one. If you just want to go back and watch even this last preseason game and compare Isaiah Simmons to Isaiah McDuffie to Tyron Hopper played the best. Now, he played a little bit later in the game, meaning he's not going up against as many, quality players, if you will. But yeah, absolutely. I want to see him go out and have another really good game to the point where we are having those conversations as to whether or not Tyron Hopper should be that number 3 linebacker in base next to Quay Walker and Nedrin Cooper. And I think he fits really well. You've got 2 really quick, fast linebackers. He's a little bit stronger and he still has the speed and intensity as well. So I think he fits very well in that 4-3 role, but he's going to have to go out and earn that. Today's a great day to do so. My guess is we're going to see a lot of Tyron Hopper in this game. He might be probably one of the top 5 to 10 players with overall snaps in this game, if I had to guess going into it. And I think this is a really big opportunity for him. So hopefully he makes the most of it, makes some big plays, and shows that he should be out there. If not in 4-3, then there might at least be a couple packages here and there where you can use him. Also going to be huge for him on special teams to continue to grow, because even if he's a 4-3 linebacker, right, you're not playing 4-3 a ton. And quite arguably his biggest role on this team will still be on special teams. What do you think of Baron Sorrell, and will we see Lloyd today? I'm really hoping and thinking we'll see Marshawn Lloyd today. If, by the way, we get inactives, somebody posts them in the chat so I can read those out. I'm not obviously keeping an eye on social media right now as we get ready for this game and as we're doing the pregame show. But if anyone sees those out there, please post them so we can go over them. I do think that we will see Lloyd today. They're really wanting to get him out there and getting him some reps. Even going back to college, he was not super repped in college just with the running backs that they had and his transferring schools and things like that. So he does not have a lot of reps, kind of banked up from college, certainly does not have them from a year ago. So they want to get him those opportunities. So I would think that we will see him today. As far as Barron Sorrell goes, I thought as far as first impressions go, meaning in the preseason game last week, that was about as good as it gets for a 4th-round pick. I was really impressed with the variety of moves that he showed. I want to see him against some better offensive linemen. We might see that today if he gets like the start opposite Kingsley and Enagbare. It'll probably be Brenton Cox. I would assume Enagbare and Cox will start, but we could see Sorrell get rotated in pretty quickly. But overall, excited for what I saw in week 1, and hopefully he can kind of continue that going into this week. And then, of course, once he actually gets in the rotation on, in the regular season, that's when we're going to see a lot more of whether or not Barron Sorrell can hang at the NFL level, at like a starting caliber level, or with the against the starters for opposing teams, or if it's going to take a little bit more of a ramp up period for him. But overall, I thought it was a very positive first impression week 1 this past week in preseason. I want to see LVN and Sorrell. I don't know if we're going to see LVN and today. That's up in the air, but Barron Sorrell, we should see a good chunk of. How do you think Elgersma will perform today? I want to see if he gets a greater chunk of playing time. I'm interested to see if it's Clifford or Elgersma as the first guy up off the bench. If I had to guess, I would say we get a half of Malik Willis. And then I would say today, maybe the 3rd quarter for Elgersma and then 4th quarter for Clifford. They've usually rotated those guys in practice, although I do think Clifford's taken a little bit more of a lead in that battle as of late. So either way, I would expect about a half of Willis, about a quarter of Clifford, and then a quarter of Elgersma. If we see like a half of Clifford, a quarter and a half, a half of Willis, a quarter and a half of Clifford, and then like 1 or 2 drives of Elgersma, that probably tells you that he's way behind the 8 ball. Or maybe they just don't want to subject him to like getting picked up or anything like that. And maybe they just want to kind of keep it a little bit more quiet. But I'm hoping we see a little bit more and he shows if he's got it as a potential number 3 quarterback on the practice squad. But I don't know what to expect if he gets any sort of significant playing time. And I think that's kind of the fun part of it. He's got a live arm. You can tell he is still swimming up top with everything that's going on from playing in the NFL after playing Canadian football. But he's a really fun thrower of the football. I'll just put it that way. As far as quarterbacking goes, he still has a ways to go. But sometimes trial by fire, put him in there, see what he can do, and maybe he surprises. But I will definitely be excited to watch it one way or the other. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see LVN. Matthew Ware, what's up, Andy? Appreciate you being here, Matthew Aries. Hi, Andy. Hope you're having a good weekend. Hope Lloyd does well. Me too. And hope he stays healthy if we do get some Marshawn Lloyd. All right, here's the guy I need to ban. There we go. Let's go. I got my eye on Will Shepherd and Katan Oladapo. Shepherd's an interesting one. He's made some plays. I think what you always have to remember at wide receiver is that you're looking for explosives. There's a lot of players who, can run some solid routes, have good hands, can get open from time to time, maybe catch some, 5 or 10 yard digs or ins or crossers or whatever. What you're looking for is, can you find a player that also has some explosive ability? That just goes for receiver pretty much in totality. It's why Malik Heath, I think, is going to have to show a little bit more if he wants to make this lineup. He better be a great blocker. He better have good hands. And the hands thing has not gone great. Even the blocking last week was not great. So he's got to do those things to make it because he's not an explosive player. So I want to see if any of these guys, Cornelius Johnson, Shepherd, any of them, Nair can show a little bit more from an explosive standpoint, because Nair's had a couple already in camp. That is usually what sets you apart and gives you a little bit longer leash on a practice squad contract or anything like that to potentially to make the team that way. But want to see something explosive from one of those guys. Which young player would you like to see have more playing time today? I mean, Anthony Belton is the one that makes all the sense in the world. I would probably give him like 3 quarters today. He probably starts at right tackle, would be my guess, opposite Jordan Morgan. And I would probably play him into the 3rd quarter. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see him. He just needs reps, right? He needs to bank that stuff. I want to get stuff on tape for him so I can show him what he needs to correct. That probably to me is the answer. I don't know if I need Jordan Morgan to go quite as long, probably like a quarter and a half for him. Yeah, Tyron Hopper's probably a solid answer there. Baron Sorrell, Nasir Stackhouse, Brinson, Micah Robinson. There's a variety of young players, but Belton would probably be the one at the top of my list that I'm probably playing at least 3/4. And honestly, if you played him the full game, I would not be upset by that, because I think you don't know how much time he's going to get in the season, and you want him to bank as many reps as you possibly can. So I would go Belton with that one. Want to see Brenton Cox too. I want to see Sorrell and LVN pass rush from inside a bit. Just throw different things out there. Again, I'm not sure if we're going to see LVN today, but we should see a lot of Brenton Cox Jr. and we should see a lot of Baron Sorrell. Excited to see Lloyd play. I mean, I think Wes Hodkiewicz put it best of like, it's one of the more anticipated preseason, sort of situations. He said since like Vince Young, everyone wants to see Marshawn Lloyd out there. I would love to see him get like 8 to 10 carries or 8 to 10 touches today. I don't know that he needs more than that. Like, let's get him ramped up a little bit here, but he's so fun with the ball in his hands, and hopefully he can make some big explosive plays happen today. Andy, can you tell Luigi's to expand to Europe? My victory frozen pizza is meh at best. They need to expand everywhere. They need to go worldwide. That is for sure. Outside of kind of the, upper north, or I guess the upper Midwest here, and then, out to larger and larger areas, and then eventually just take over the world. I think that's their game plan is, to start local with Pack-A-Day, and then eventually, just again, be in control of everything as they dominate the pizza market. Where would you say Tramon Williams ranked among active NFL corners at his peak? Also, in the few games they managed to keep Calvin Johnson somewhat in check, how big a role did he play? I assume primary defender, but with tons of help, or were they just doubling entirely in those games? The second part, I'd have to go back and watch. I don't remember the Tramon Calvin Johnson matchups. Maybe I should. I don't. I know, like Charles Woodson got some of that, but I'd have to go back and actually look how they defended. And the thing is like Dion, Revis, anyone in their prime, Calvin Johnson can still give them trouble, right? So even if he had help, that's not anything against that individual player. Calvin was just that good. As far as when Tramon was in his peak, how good was he? I'd have to again look at like what players were at the same time. All I know is that Super Bowl season, I don't think Tramon gets anywhere near the credit he deserves. We all remember the pick 6 against Atlanta and him having a really good season. He was as close to a shutdown corner that Green Bay has probably had in my lifetime right around that time. And you might say, well, what about Charles Woodson? Charles Woodson was a slot extraordinaire, and he did a lot of unbelievable things. Being a pure like shutdown, lockdown corner, don't get me wrong, great corner, great cover corner. I wouldn't put it quite in that category. He was a blitzer. He was a safety. He was a linebacker. He was an off-ball line, or like a 3-4 outside linebacker. They did everything with that guy. Outside corner, inside corner, just you name it, he did it. And he was great at all of it. I wouldn't quite put him in that lockdown corner. Tramon in his prime was probably the best pure cover corner that I can remember in my lifetime during that time, that run that he had. So he to me was right up there and doesn't quite get that credit that he deserves. Not only that, but made plays as well. He was really, really, really freaking good. I want to see a dominant LVN sack today to keep my hype train going. I don't know if he's going to play. I would love if he got a little bit of playing time, maybe 10 snaps or so. But I don't know if he's actually going to, again, if you're not playing your starters, is he on that line of like, well, he's clearly a starter, so we're not going to play him? Or is he like, we want to get some reps banked up for him as well, so we're going to get him 10 snaps and then get him out of the game? That to me is more of an interesting one. If he does play, I would expect a series or two, probably not a whole heck of a lot more than that. This game is very, very highly anticipated by us sickos. I know you're one of us. Hey, if the Packers are doing anything, if it is if it's a walkthrough, if it's a training camp practice, a family night, a preseason game, anything, I'm all in. You guys know that. I will watch it like the sick junkie that I am, and I will never apologize for it. Adam just put his Luigi's Pizza in the oven. Hopefully it brings good luck to the Packers. It will bring good luck to humanity. I can say that confidently, Adam, and I hope you enjoy the heck out of it. When you're watching TV at home, do you yell at the TV? I always have, but these days I get yelled at when I do. Preseason, definitely not. I don't really care that much what happens in preseason. Regular season, very rare. The last time I yelled at my TV was the Fail Mary. Probably just in general. That probably was the last time I yelled at my TV. That I was like just livid. That was frustrating. Outside of that, it doesn't happen. I'm definitely more even keel in regular season. Playoff is where Fan Andy really does come out. That's when all the, everything matters. There is no like, well, if they still correct a couple of these things, they could be better next. No, this is it. This is your whole life is on the line at that point. So Fan Andy comes out most in playoffs, or if it's like a must-win regular season game that's basically a pseudo playoff game, that's when I might get a little bit more passionate. But usually, course of the regular season, it's pretty even keeled, not the high highs or the low lows. Just kind of keeping an analytical eye on everything. But then must-win games are a different story for sure. Go Pack Go from Germany, primetime game here for us. Love that for you. Yeah, it's a perfect time for you guys. If it was like a 7 p.m. game like next week, that's not as ideal for you guys. It's time. Marshawn is it. Friggin' keeping it clean time. All right, I got it. Oh, gotcha. Freaking time. All right, we're good. I got you there. I yell at the TV a lot. My wife always yells at me. I could see that happening. I am a little bit concerned by Devonte Wyatt's quiet camp. I'm willing to say like, hey, let's see what it looks like when the regular season starts, save for the fact that this has sort of been the story for Devonte Wyatt. Tons of talent and just really quiet. Not bad. I don't think Devonte Wyatt's ever been bad. And most of the time when he's in, it's at least solid. It's fine. It's okay. It's kind of good, but it's very rarely great. And when you take somebody in the first round as a 24-year-old defensive tackle out of Georgia, you're kind of hoping for great. And he has not given that. There's always a new defensive line coach, or they're going to use him in a different way, or he's going to get more snaps, or more and more and more. And it's just like, at some point, I need a little bit more from Devonte Wyatt. They guaranteed his contract next year. They picked up that 5th-year option. Like, I kind of need to see it. I want to see a little bit more. He's probably against somebody that doesn't play today. And I don't really care if it's a quiet preseason in camp, if it's a loud regular season. But man, starting Detroit with those new interior players, they don't have their stud center anymore who retired this offseason, Frank Ragnow. And then Zeitler's no longer there. You need to eat on the inside. Kenny Clark and Devonte Wyatt need to be ready to go, dominating on the interior week 1 against that interior of the line's offensive line. You think Bo Melton will only play a quarter or less? I would expect him to play a little bit more, maybe like a half in this one. So yeah, I would expect him to play teams and then defense in the probably about the first half. If it like is like he plays like a series or two, I mean, he's basically they're basically saying he made the team, which is pretty stunning considering he switched positions. But yeah, I would expect him to get a little bit more time. I think he needs it. If you're going to make him a corner, like he needs to play at corner to get those reps down, because if all of a sudden, like week 1, you get a couple injuries and he's in there, that is a tall ask for Bo Melton. So as many reps as he can get right now, probably the better. There's so much to see today, but most important is to observe improvement with mental mistakes, details, and penalties. If you're looking for a team aspect, right? This still preseason is individual. It's totally different than the regular season. You want to make those individual evaluations. But if you are looking for something on a team standpoint, I think the overarching, self-inflicted wounds, false starts, penalties, drops, etc., that would be one thing to look at. However, what I would also implore you is to say, who's making those mistakes? Who's a good example? If JJ Lippy, no offense to JJ Lippy, or Brant Banks are the ones that are jumping off sides or having the false starts, who cares, right? It doesn't matter a whole heck of a lot. If it's, whatever, you get my point. If it's a way back of the roster player that's not even going to be here in a couple weeks, them making the mistakes is just kind of sealing their fate anymore and just kind of confirming what you already thought was probably the case. So that doesn't matter. If it's guys that are actually going to be playing a good chunk this year, and those are the guys making the mistakes, not showing the energy and whatever, then yeah, that to me will be a little bit more frustrating and a little bit more unacceptable, to be fair. Master Bojangles. I had a vision. Hafley is going to be the Dolphins head coach after McDaniels gets fired this season. I don't know who's going to hire him. All I'll say is that I think whoever does not hire him will be very disappointed that they passed up on Jeff Hafley. I would expect them, assuming that Green Bay's defense does even remotely well this year, to get a good chunk of interviews next year. And he's ready to be a head coach, in my opinion. Listen, I would like him to stay as long as he wants to stay. No question about it. But until I would just say, I think we're going to see him get a lot of interviews, and he certainly is deserving of an opportunity sooner rather than later. Who do you think is better at this point, Elgersma or Clifford? And this is just an example of what do you want as your number 3 developmental quarterback? Extremely clear that Clifford has a much better understanding of the offense, can run it a little bit better, meaning run the offense, the checks, the audibles, the cans at the line, the cadence, just is more in control of it at this point. Also very clear and evident that Taylor Algersma is just a much more talented thrower of the football. So as your emergency number 3 quarterback, do you want somebody that can come in and run the offense effectively? Or do you just realize that, hey, if we get to Clifford / Algersma time, we're, you know what, anyway, and it doesn't even matter at that point. So just take the more talented guy, develop him, and throw him in there and see what happens. If you get to that point, that probably is the direction that I would go in. But if I needed to win a game today, if it was, Packers Colts, this was regular season, and like it was a must win, and I had to go with Clifford or Algersma, I would pretty confidently, well, I'd pretty easily go with Clifford. I would not feel confident about the result of said game in any way, shape, or form, but I would take Clifford over Algersma today to win that game pretty easily. But Algersma definitely the more talented of the two. Do you have any game worn jerseys? If so, whose? Did you wash them or pin the stink right to the wall? I do not have any game worn jerseys. So I guess I can't answer the rest of it, but no game worn jerseys. Don't have any Packers jerseys. I have some autographs, football cards, some things like that. I have a whole thing of memorabilia from when I was younger and from some of my grandparents and things like that. Some really cool stuff. Maybe sometime I'll do a memorabilia show just to kind of show some of the stuff that I have. That might be fun, but yeah, a lot of stuff, but no game worn jerseys. Go Pack Go from England. Hey, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate that. Some Luigi's in Vegas would be great. Some Luigi's everywhere would be great. Anywhere, everywhere, at all times. That's when we need it. Will we see Melton much? Does he have a challenging matchup? Yeah, I mean, I think if he gets out there right away with some of those really good Colts wide receivers, that very much is a great matchup for him. And that would be a challenge. I'm hoping we see Melton. I'd like to see him play about a half in this one, but he didn't play a ton last week. I was kind of surprised by that. We'll see if they play him a bunch or just a little. That will definitely be one that I'm keeping an extra eye on in this game. I want to see the young borderline starters start as long as the Colts number ones are in. We got to start fast this year. Let them get in the groove in the preseason. I don't disagree with any of that, Joseph. I think if it were me, I would probably play guys like LVN, just at least a series or two. Again, this is one where if we're talking, I'm not going Jordan. Well, obviously Jordan Love with the injury, but I wouldn't have anyway. I don't need to see Josh Jacobs. Matthew Golden's a really interesting one. Do you play him or not play him? But I wouldn't have probably played a Jaden Reed or maybe even Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, assuming they were healthy in this one. I'm not playing Tucker Kraft in this one. I probably would play Musgrave. Not playing Rashid is interesting. If he was healthy, I would probably play Rashid. But maybe you just want Morgan to take those. But I'm not certainly going to play Elton. I'm not certainly going to play probably Aaron Banks. Like anyone that like the developed veterans or the key starters. I'm not playing, but guys like LVN, I probably do play a series or two. Same thing with Matthew Golden. Same thing with players like that. Those guys that are still young, up and coming. I do want to kind of see a couple series of those. I miss Jordy Nelson and Ryan Grant, two great Packers, no question about it. Well, if LVN doesn't play, then I just want to see the preseason to go exactly like practice did for the defense. Right there with you. A lot of spam today. Holy cow. Woodson and Williams pushed each other to be the best that year. Woodson talked about that in an interview a few years ago. That's awesome. That does not surprise me at all. Sam Shields too, like that defensive backfield. Maybe sans Charlie Peppera a little bit. No disrespect to Charlie Peppera, but the Sam Shields, Tremont Williams, Charles Woodson, Nick Collins, quad group. That was as fun as it got for me in a secondary. Just really, really fun players that consistently made plays. Not always perfect in coverage, but nobody's going to be that. That was definitely like just four of my favorite all-time Packers, right, in that secondary. Shields, Williams, Woodson, Collins, like probably all four in my top 10 favorite Packers of all time, maybe even higher than that. Al Harris was really good for several years. Loved his aggression, no question about it. Are you taking I don't know what the over-under is, but and I know it's like Colts by 6 or something like that. I would take Colts money line in this one, but that's probably all I would really feel anywhere near confident in. And probably just be careful in preseason. I'll put it that way. I'm not the only one turning up for Marshawn. Common theme. Let's go, big man. I'm not expecting Alvin Kamara. I'm reasonable. Just give me something to point at. If he's in, he's probably going to, if he gets blocking, he'll look good. He's a really, really fun back. And hopefully we do get to see some of that explosiveness today. What has been the most recent Packer to play terribly in preseason and then play lights out during the regular season and the reverse? Oh man, I'd have to look. I don't know if I have. I mean, Malik Willis was off pretty well. Actually, I shouldn't say that. He actually played pretty well in Tennessee in preseason last year. So I guess I can't say that. I don't know. I'd have to probably research that a little bit more. Nothing immediately comes to mind on either side of it, but I'm sure it exists on both sides. I will say, like Josh Jacobs in training camp last year, he looked mostly fine. Like he looked good-ish. And then once the regular season started, there was a whole different gear to Josh Jacobs. Like he didn't even remotely display in camp up until that point. And again, it wasn't even anything he did bad. It was just you could tell he knew when to ramp it up. And once it ramped up, it was like, oh, that's a totally different player. And we see all the time. Robert Tonyan was a player who had a unbelievable camp in preseason, just unbelievable. And then like everyone said, like training camp MVP, and then went out in like the first like 5 or 6 games, barely caught anything, and then got hurt. I think he tore his ACL or whatever. And that was basically like the end of the Robert Tonyan era in Green Bay. It was just really remarkable. He was unreal in that camp, caught everything his way. And then that was basically it. So it does definitely go both ways. Nair is going to make the practice squad, count on it. I think it's a fun battle with Cornelius Johnson and Shepard, Nair. Like we'll see, but Nair has a little bit of extra something. He just got picked up, so he's still got work to do, in my opinion. I wouldn't guarantee it, but he definitely is one of those options for the practice squad for sure. All right. Sorry, trying to clean up some of these ridiculous people that keep spamming. I have to work during the game. I'm a passionate fan who is very loud during games, so we will see how that goes today. Good luck, Sons of Lombardi. Just a preseason, so we can tone it back a little bit, but I totally get it. Go Pack, go. I wasn't a sicko until I started watching Pack a Day. Now that I know every little detail, I must continue knowing every little detail. That is one of the best compliments I can get. The best is not that I want, obviously, people to go through hard times or anything, but the people who I have reached out that are going through something in their life and kind of use Pack a Day to whether use it as a distraction or try to get some normalcy in their life. That is 1A. There's nothing like that to know that it actually is a help to people that are going through some really serious stuff in their life. Other than that, to take your fandom and be like, oh, I thought I kind of knew Packers, or like, I thought I was kind of a Packers nerd. And then I heard you and Justice talk, and I realized that there was a whole nother level to this. So I had to level up. That's about the second best compliment that I can get. I always look at it this way. I think when you get passionate about something, for example, like if you were a huge Game of Thrones fan, right? Or like Lost or one of those shows, you think you have like an idea of what's going on in the show. And then like you start picking up like a podcast that breaks down like every little detail. And then you're like, oh my God, what if this happens? And what if this happens? And it takes your enjoyment of that show and it just puts it on like extra high alert. I've heard this before, so I know it's not obviously for everyone, but if I can do that even to some small extent where it takes anybody's fandom and it turns the volume from like a 6 to like a 9, no numbers intended there. Like awesome. That is unbelievable. That's what I want to be. Like the whole real quick aside, not to get too off on a tangent here. I think there is a subset of people, #haters, that believe that either I am or like I'm not, or I guess they want to call out that I'm like not some like no, or I think I'm a know-it-all Packers guy. I don't have any desire to be the be-all, end-all, all-knowing entity on Green Bay Packers football. Not my intention, not why I started the channel, not what I desire to be. I want to research everything so I know everything to the very best of my ability. I'm going to get things wrong from time to time. And the reason that I have a whole team of Pack-A-Day people is to give you guys different voices. The reason I have in season guys on like Justice and Paul Brettel and Carmen Vitale and Mike Wall is to give you different perspectives, because I learn a lot of stuff from talking to those people. So yeah, I download information on those. My whole journey on this is just like, it'd be fun just talking Packers every day. And I bet there would be some, people who would enjoy that as well. Just having an avenue of like, hey, there's somebody talking about Packers every single day. That's what this was for fun and enjoyment. And I understand that I have a platform that I get to use. And yeah, sometimes I'm going to be passionate about a particular topic, and that's going to probably, most of the topics, if I'm being real, and that's going to come through. But I have no desire to be the final authority on all Green Bay Packers, nor am I trying to be, or will I ever be, or anything like that. Just here for fun Packers conversation. We'll get plenty right, we'll get plenty wrong through the course of my time here, and I'm just happy I get to talk Packers every day. So that's the impetus, and not to go again off on a tangent, but Yash, I really appreciate the kind words there. Every game I can watch, I yell at the TV. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. I talk about all the time. There's different levels and layers of fandom, and I've kind of gone through those different journeys of fandom too. And none of them are right or wrong or better or worse. We're all on different pathways with our individual fandoms. And there are times where I was very much in the scream at my TV phase. I'm not there anymore. It's a different kind of phase of my fandom. And obviously with what I do, I see things through a different lens. But can I get there in a playoff game? Sure, absolutely. There's also a difference between Andy that's sitting in section 102 on a game day when I'm in my season tickets, and Andy that's, again, in the press box or talking, Packers on the show here. So there's a different version of that too, but we're all in different wavelengths of our fandom. It's all fun. It's all supposed to be enjoyable, but yeah, yell away. I totally get it. Has anyone heard if the Colts are playing their starters? I believe that they are playing some. For how long and which ones, I do not know for sure, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that. I don't think we've seen any inactives for either team as of yet. Yash, it's probably best that I don't live in Green Bay. I'm the lunatic that would be getting turned up at the rookie minicamp. Totally get it. Would be getting tuned up in rookie minicamp. I gotcha. You and Justice need some serious crazy wager on who's going to make the 53. Yeah, we'll try to do something. Maybe we can figure it out this week or maybe the week before that. Don't know if Lloyd is playing yet, but hopefully he will be. Sons of Lombardi, thank you so much for the super chat. Big thanks to Andy and the gang for everything you do for Packers fans. I hope my tribute song does justice to the passion and community you have built. Yeah, looking forward to that. I'm going to be doing a reading for that, I believe, coming up tomorrow. But yeah, there is a song specifically dedicated to the Pack a Day podcast, which is pretty incredible. I know Jason and Mark had it on their show, so if you want to check that out, you can check back a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we should be hearing more of that coming up soon. I know outcomes for Packers wide receivers are hard to gauge. What is your standard for a good rookie season from Golden? Yeah, I kind of go back to Greg Jennings. I want to see a Greg Jennings-esque season, but I'd like to see it just be a little bit more efficient. And I think anything above that would be really a positive. Greg Jennings in his rookie year had 45 catches for 632 and 3 touchdowns. And the stat line is not great, right? But remember, he looked really good right away. He looked like he was going to be a player right away. So I actually think that like 45 catches for 632, 14-yard average and 3 touchdowns is actually kind of like a pretty low bar for Matthew Golden. But I'm not even necessarily talking the stat line. If like he has that impact and you can see what he's going to bring to the table right away, like Greg Jennings did, that to me will be a win. But I actually expect him to kind of get the over on a lot of those numbers, at least have the ability to get the over on a lot of those numbers. Go Pack Go from Alaska. It's football season. Packers at 9 a.m. Coaching a home Pop Warner game at 1 p.m. That is awesome. I am getting into, by the way, my son is now 11 years old. He's on a premier soccer team, and a ton of games are on Sundays. And this is a problem. And there's a game next week that's during the preseason game. So we're going to start to get into some conflicts here with this, and it's not fun at all. Next week, I probably will be attending the beginning of his soccer game because it's actually a real soccer game, and the preseason game's a preseason game. So probably no pregame show, and I'm probably not going to be in the press box and in the postgame presser, but going to be watching on my phone. And then my hope is that I can still come home, get caught up right away, and then do that live postgame show still next week. But we're getting into some interesting logistical stuff with both of my son's soccer and some of the Packer games. Obviously, when it comes to regular season and things like that, the Packer games are going to have to take precedent because of what I do. But yeah, just getting a little bit more complicated. Do you get a sense of it if this is really a left tackle competition, or is it more Morgan filling in there with Walker Hurt? I think it's very much a competition. And I think Jordan Morgan has a real opportunity to win it. In fact, I kind of think they want him to win it. But I absolutely believe that this could go either way still with Walker or Morgan. And if I'm Walker, I need to get back out there practicing and playing sooner rather than later. Yeah, not just a jersey guy. I actually am going to be getting, hopefully they're not listening, I'm going to be getting jerseys for my kids soon. Again, I'm not judging anybody. To me, there's like an age thing for jerseys. Like once I reached a certain age, I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm not playing in this game. I feel kind of weird in a jersey. That is just me. I totally get anyone else wearing it. So again, not judging anybody. That's just my personal thing. But yeah, not a jersey guy whatsoever. I mean, you guys know me. Like, I'm usually coming in white or black and a pink hat talking Packers. I'm big on comfortability. If I'm comfortable, I'm confident. If I'm confident, I'm going to come across more confident, more strong in my, talking and conversation and everything like that. So that's my just belief on things. I don't really feel like if anyone wants to challenge me on my Packers fandom when I talk 365 days a year because I have a pink hat instead of a Packers hat, I'll gladly have that conversation with anyone. So very much to me, it's more about just comfort and what I'm wearing. And if I feel good, I'm more confident in everything that I do. Kalen King's a great one to watch today. I think that corner battle is a really, really fun one. Kalen King, Micah Robinson. It looks like Bo Melton's probably pretty locked in there at the moment, but Corey Ballantyne, Kamal Haddon. I think that's a really, really fun group of players that they're going to have to sort of parse out and figure out which ones are actually going to make the bottom of that cornerback room. I don't know if Golden's going to play. Then none of the next 4 or whatever, or 5. And then I think we'll see a lot of Malik Heath, McCole Hardman. And then after that, you'll get the whole next group of players with Hicks and Nair and Cornelius Johnson, Shepard, etc. That'll be kind of a lot of those players throughout the course of the day, probably second quarter and on. With Golden playing so well and people throwing around wide receiver 1 talk, can you think of any other wide receivers that were under 6 foot? Steve Smith, Santana Moss, Steve Smith. Tyreek Hill. There's a lot of them. There's actually quite a few. I'm just drawing a blank on a lot of them at the moment, but yeah, that's not a huge thing. There's a lot of 5'10", 5'11" wide receivers that have had a ton of success in the league. What are your expectations for Sorrell and Oliver this season? Oliver, I can't tell you because we just haven't seen any of them, right? I need to see him in camp or in preseason or just do something before I'm willing to make any sort of prediction. And he's like such an outlier at what Green Bay does as like a real true situational pass rusher and maybe kind of linebacker that I'm not willing to make any bets on that at the moment. Sorrell, I think will have, if you go back to Kingsley and Enagbare rookie season, I think it'll look very similar to that, but I think just a tick higher. I think a tick better than what we saw from Enagbare in that rookie year. So that's kind of my expectations for Sorrell. And then Oliver, your guess is as good as mine. Favorite Packers offensive player from 2010? Greg Jennings, no question. I was a massive Greg Jennings guy. It was really kind of heartbreaking for me to have him go to the Vikings and then, all the stuff that he said to the media, which, whatever, we don't need to get into that. That was really tough. But when he was here, by far and away, one of my favorite players, no question about it. If you could get any game-worn jersey over the past 30 years, who and which one would you want? It's probably some Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson, I don't know if I want like game-worn Super Bowl jersey. Actually, no, Tramon Williams, Atlanta Falcons NFC Championship or NFC Division Round game where he had to pick 6 against Atlanta. That's probably my favorite Packers play of all time. So that would probably be the one. I would take that one. Week 1 is our 4th preseason, so we might lose. To be honest, we know Matt doesn't have a good record week 1, especially home games. Yeah, it's definitely not a 4th preseason game. That is as big of a game as it gets all season long. Detroit at home. Both of those teams are going to be fighting tooth and nail for that. And that will definitely not be a 4th preseason game for sure. Tunyon was Kraft light. Love to have him back. Yeah, I don't think he's on. Maybe he is on a team right now. I don't know. I don't think he is. Oh, he's on the Chiefs. Interesting. I did not know that. All right, he's on the Chiefs apparently right now. Favorite Bon Iver album? I actually like the I'm really bad with album names, but I can tell you in 1 second. $22 a Million. 715 Creeks is like one of my favorite songs. It's probably not his best album in totality, but there's like 2 or 3 songs that I just absolutely love on that album. So it probably is that. Does anyone remember Parsons only getting 1 solo tackle during the playoff game with the Packers? How is he worth huge compensation package and a massive deal? Absolutely overrated. All right. Let's hold on. I'm trying to put this ban this user too. A lot of weird people today. First and foremost, never, ever judge a player on any one game. Every single player in this league has had a bad day. All right. So he is the same as anybody else. He is not immune to having a bad day from time to time. He did not have a super impactful day in that particular game. Per PFF, still had a 62.1 grade in that game with 3 total pressures and 2 tackles. So even in a off game for him, he still was graded above average and still had a total of 3 pressures in that game. And that's in a bad game for Micah Parsons. The dude is in the prime of his career. It can be a all-pro off-ball linebacker, can be an all-pro pass rusher. And because he didn't get the best of the Packers, who had a really good game plan for him, and basically the entirety of that Dallas team kind of no-showed that game that day. Not entirely, but like it was not a great performance overall for Dallas. The Green Bay just punched him right in the face very early, and it was like Green Bay had him in a blender the entire day, the entire team, not just Micah, right? And that, by the way, was, his 3rd worst graded game of that entire season. His not that PFF grades are everything. His PFF grades 89.7, 91.8, 92.4, 90.0 would basically become Green Bay's best player the day that he arrives. His pressures, okay? Let me just pull this up really quick. Rashawn Gary led the Packers in pressures this past year with 47 total pressures, okay? 47 total pressures for Rashawn Gary this past year. Micah had 70. The year before that had 106. Remember last year, he only played 694 snaps. So the year before that, he played 910, had 106 pressures. But that was clearly an outlier because the year before that, he also had 106 pressures. 106 in back-to-back seasons. We are talking about one of the most dominant players in the entire league in the prime of his career that would completely fit in Jeff Hafley's defense to perfection and give them their best pass rusher, their best off-ball linebacker, their best weapon, and a true game changer on defense. So yes, lose me with he didn't play great against Green Bay in that one game. All right. Basically every other game in his career, he's been a completely dominant force at all times. And imagine if you do still have then Rashawn Gary on the opposite side, not getting attention, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, those players not getting as much attention because he's out there. All of a sudden you have a double A gap blitz with Micah Parsons and Edgerrin Cooper coming at you. Good night. This brings you from a top 10 defense to a top 3 defense, in my opinion. So yeah, do not ever box score scout it, and do not ever just bring up one game in a 4-year career that's been one of the more epic 4-year careers that we have ever seen. But because he had an okay game against Green Bay, I don't want that guy. Yeah, bad process to say the least. I don't know if you already answered this. Are any starters playing today like Golden? I do not think that we have seen the inactives yet. But as soon as we see them, if I do see them, I will let you guys know. The starters, it sounds like primarily are not going to play, but I don't know if like some of the Matthew Goldens, the LVNs, etc., like where that line is of which ones will play and which ones will not play. Oh, Domovsky just tweeted. Oh no, just throwing. All right, nothing yet. You and Basarowski are the Packers social media goats. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that, Jack. How's your day going, Andy? It is going great. What do you think the percentage that the Micah Parsons thing is true? Like even talks that the Packers and Cowboys had possibly. It would not stun me if Green Bay had the conversations internally. It would not stun me if Green Bay made a phone call to Dallas. What anything past that would be, I have no idea. It would not stun me if Green Bay had no conversations. It would not stun me if Green Bay did not make any sort of offer. These are sometimes things that get thrown about, and it's really tough to glean one way or the other what's true and what is not. I have to believe that they've at least had some conversations on it, right? Like 31 teams should have had a conversation on, hey, if he is available, what are we willing to offer? And 31 teams should be calling Dallas to say, is he available? And what are you looking for? That is just every team doing their due diligence. I can understand if Philly, Washington, and New York didn't call because they know that there's no way Dallas is trading them inside the division. But outside of that, every team should be having conversations and calling Dallas. No question about it. This might be the most starved for football I have felt in a long time. Well, we get a little taste of it here momentarily, so hopefully that helps. Beast mode Bumblebee. I scream at my TV in excitement, but not in anger. Normally when it's going bad, it's just silent anger staring at the TV. I understand that aspect of it as well. No question. Still no note on who's playing and who's not, huh? Domovsky just said Marshawn Lloyd is in uniform and it appears he will make his preseason debut versus the Colts today. So it looks like we are getting Marshawn Lloyd. As a Packers fan and a football fan, everyone yelled at the TV when the Seahawks threw the ball against the Pats. I know it's not Packers related, but it's yelling at the TV related. Fair enough. No walking boot for Jaden Reed. Yeah, he didn't have it at practice the other day either, which is good news. I prefer to think I'm screaming with the TV, not at it. I love that. Why so many spam bots today? Holy cow, guys. I have to start getting admin in here. What are they doing with Walker if Morgan wins then? I assume he's just the swing tackle would be my assumption, but it gets really interesting because if I'm Rashid, I'm saying I demand a trade. I'm not losing out on my $20 million per year because Green Bay wants to start a first year player that hasn't had much starts before. That gets interesting. And the only way I'm trading him if I'm Green Bay, by the way, is I need another like almost starting caliber offensive lineman in return to continue that depth along the offensive line. There's no way I'm going in with my 5 starters and then Anthony Belton being the 6th guy. I can't do it. So it gets really interesting if that ends up being the case. But I think he's probably just the swing tackle if that's it. Jordy and Greg remixed into Christian Matthew. Wouldn't it be nice? I can't be the only one who sees the similarities. Hey, maybe if that could happen, that'd be great. Do we know what kept Savion Williams out of the game last week? What kept him out of practice this past week? So last week, remember, he still has the shoulder injury that he's recovering from. They've ramped him up very slowly from the red jersey and mini camps to doing less team activities and just been very cautious with him. He also had that concussion earlier, but he was ramping up from the shoulder injury. I didn't think he was going to play last week because of that. My guess is he probably would have played this week, but he, at some point, his right leg, had the massage gun on it this past week. Kind of looked in like the thigh region. And I don't know what the injury is there, but he did not practice. And of course, I'm very much assuming will not play in this game. Jennings was my guy. Absolutely. All will be well in the world once Parsons is a Packer. Yeah, don't get your hopes up. If I could have any game worn jersey, I'd probably go with Aaron Rodgers' jersey from the Miracle and Motown game. That'd be a good one. I'm jumping ahead and need Heath, but the thought of Watson, Golden, Dobbs, Reed, and Wicks and Savion rotating, it feels insane. I hope that ends up being the case, that we get a really impressive group of wide receivers that are all super talented and can hopefully all catch the ball. Tunyon played well last night for KC, caught a touchdown pass. There we go. That's awesome. Love that. I just go Mitchell and Ness. I have a starter Favre and a Mitchell and Ness Nitschke, never out of style and different. I love that. One bad game from Parsons doesn't make him overrated. He is 100% worth it. Not saying the Packers should do it, but saying he's overrated for one off game is dumb. I'll echo that first part. I'm not arguing Green Bay should empty the treasure chest of draft picks and young players to go get him and give him the biggest defensive contract in football. I wouldn't hate it if they did. I would understand it if they did. I'm not making an argument for or against it, but if they did it, I can understand why, because he's that level of player. No question. He's an elite, one of the elite players in this game, and I think would completely change this Packers team on the defensive side of the ball for the positive. Aaron Jones locked him up. My favorite Aaron Jones game ever. Really good game from Aaron, no question. Man, guys, what is going on today? I've never had this many bots in the chat before. Why would the Packers acquire Parsons and have to pay him a king's ransom when they have their own players that are good and need to pay? Because they don't have their own players that are great and need to pay. When a true elite of the elite becomes available, you try to acquire that player. There's only a handful of those type of players in the league. I call them Infinity Stone players. And when you've got the opportunity to collect one, you pretty much do everything that you can to try to collect it. So yeah, I think that's the big thing for Green Bay. They have a lot of really good players. They don't have a lot of top tier premium players, and being able to go out and get one, I think is something that you always consider when those things become available and as options to you. By the way, Jennings was also 5'11". He was 6'3", ran like a galloping horse. Watson 6'7", noteworthy for his running when healthy. I'm nerding out now. That's totally fine. Let's see. Is NFL Plus worth these $7 for one game? I think so, because if you ever want to go back and watch condensed versions, that's worth it in and of itself. But yeah, totally up to you. And I don't know, $7 to be able to watch the game, I don't think is too bad either. It's probably going to be a crappy game, but yeah, I always love the NFL Plus for the condensed versions of the games afterwards to go back and rewatch them. What would the package for Parsons even look like? Multiple firsts? Yeah, a couple firsts, young player, maybe like a 4th or 5th round pick would be my guess. Something in that realm, I think would be fair for both sides. I paid for it last year. I'd say it's worth it, especially if you know you'll be away from home for a couple games, big time. We're going to see Marshawn Lloyd today. I'm excited about it. Still trying to keep an eye on these inactives if we get them here. Still nothing. 4 running backs possible. Let's see. No obvious one to cut. It's very possible. Very, very possible. Well, I'll have YouTube TV for the season. It's just the one game today. Gotcha. That makes sense. I literally teared up when Butler picked off that pass because I hated the Seahawks so much. I totally understand that as well. Itching for Packers football. Yo, yo, yo. It's up to you. If seeing the game is worth $7, then buy it. Fair. We talked about that. Lloyd, it does sound like Lloyd is playing. We don't know for sure, but he's dressed and ready to go. A lot of spam today. The Packers should hire the sticky bandits from Home Alone to help the team catch the ball. Hey, if they want to start wrapping their hands in tape, like I'm not even against it at this point, but by any means necessary. I don't know if any of you guys have either or girls have played football recently or have kids who play football. I don't know if you have seen these gloves. How anybody drops anything with those gloves is beyond me. Like I know it's not stick. It might as well be stick 'em. Like those things, like the ball just sticks to it. I don't know how. And I get like, some of those 100-mile-per-hour rocket balls are very much not easy to catch. You've got defenders and crowd noise and everything else. I'm not saying it's easy, but man, if anything hits your hands with those gloves on, it's a huge advantage. Those things are unreal, like just absolutely unreal. Top players in the game that you'll be evaluating, keeping an eye on. Yeah, definitely talked about that on the show today. So go back and check out the preview show. But Marshawn Lloyd, all the young players, but Anthony Belton, Jordan Morgan, Tyron Hopper were 3 of the big ones that I'll be looking at. Does Parsons have a PFF grade for the playoffs only? I feel like he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Could be wrong, though. Let's see. He had a 68.0 grade in 58 snaps in 21, an 85.3 grade in 145 snaps in 22, and a 62.1 grade in 48 snaps in 2023 with 22 pressures and 251 snaps, 22 pressures and 120 pass rush opportunities, which is really still ridiculous. So even though the grades might not be as good, still had very good pass rush grades in all 3 postseasons. So I don't think it probably is not maybe to quite the level. You also have to remember in a lot of those playoff games as an offensive coordinator, who are you game planning to make sure doesn't beat you? Micah Parsons. You're doubling him, you're chipping him, you're doing everything you can to make sure that he's not the one that impacts the game. So while you're spending all that focus and time, effort, and energy on him, it might be other players that are eating because of it. And so don't discount that either. Hey, Andy, a big fan of yours here in Brazil. Who was your all-time favorite player in Green Bay history? Tramon Williams, Charles Woodson are the 2 that I usually come to mind the most. Players that I've really enjoyed, Amon Green, Greg Jennings, Sam Shields, Nick Collins. But I would say the 2 that I probably default to the most when asked that question are Tramon Williams and Charles Woodson, and probably Tramon would be my final answer. Is your grading scale compared to PFF's grading scale similar to Fahrenheit versus Celsius? Not exactly. Just a little bit different. Really hope it isn't just 1 or 2 drives. I want to see Lloyd finally play. Yeah, we'll see how much time he actually gets. Definitely one of the more noteworthy ones in this game. NFL Plus worth the price. You also get every primetime game without having to have 100 streaming services. That's nice. Love the sticky bandits. We're morons. We don't want anywhere near our players. Fair enough. Love Home Alone, though. I love the collaboration with the Paul Farrington Show. Those guys are great. Help us turn Ziggy into a Packers fan. I do have good news for you. I am going to be collaborating with the Paul Farrington Show all season long. And yeah, we're going to be doing co-branded episodes all year long, every single week that'll air both on the Paul Farrington Show podcast as well as here on Pack a Day. So really excited to team with those guys this upcoming year. No 71-yard field goal today. It is confirmed that starters are not playing in this game per Ashley Washburn down on the field with Matt LaFleur. So starters not playing. Packers coach Matt LaFleur told Wayne Larrabee that his team got through Thursday's joint practice without any new injuries. That's great. Yeah, very good to see. All right. Who are some other sneaky trade for away candidates? Trade for is tough to know because, again, I don't know everything that's going on in the league right now of what players might be on the block. I don't know that there's a ton of trade away candidates because Enigbari would have been one. You don't really have anything on the offensive line. Tenant, like maybe if somebody wanted to give something for Heath or Hardman, but I don't see it. Somebody wanted to give something for Emmanuel Wilson, maybe. Maybe you could get something for a defensive tackle if you wanted to go with 5 and felt like Stackhouse was worth keeping as one of those 5. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to really move the needle in any sort of significant way. I played football and some of those cutter gloves are incredible, but it's still challenging to catch with all the pads on and what a quarter. Yeah, no question. I'm not saying it's easy, but the gloves are insane. Where does Aaron Jones rank on your all-time favorites list? He's high in mine, but I'm only 18, so I don't remember Woodson. I remember old Tremont Williams, though. Yeah, I love Aaron. No question about it. He'd be very high on that list. Very high. LCD Cooks, they were unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable last night. Unfreaking believable. One of my favorite concerts I've been to. The Paul Farrington Show is one of my favorite Packer fan pages. I guess we could call him a Packer fan page. Oh, the fan page maybe, but yeah, obviously Vikings fans. But yeah, really excited to talk to them all season long. No LVN or Musgrave. That does not surprise me. Did we get the list here? All right, today's scratches. This is a great way to end it. 29 Packers not playing. Quay Walker, Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Javon Bullard, Nate Hobbs, Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, Zane Anderson, Colin Oliver, Zach Tom, Rashawn Gary, Edrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, John Williams, Elton Jenkins, Savion Williams, Tucker Kraft, Romeo Dobbs, Luke Musgrave, Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, and Kenny Clark. So Matthew Golden time and Marshawn Lloyd time. Oh, geez. Matt LaFleur said that Malik Willis will only play a couple of series and then rotate from there. Yeah, this is going to be a rough one, guys. Just buckle in. This is going to be a rough one. Do not, please, do not get any hopes or expectations up for this one. It is going to be a rough one. Bots are out of control today. I am very stunned at how many there are. No Drunk Andy stream yet. I promise it will happen at some point. Just have not had time recently. Odds that people freak out about this game too, 100%. It'll be a small portion, but 100% that it'll happen. Basarowski and Luke Beller are my go-tos for camp highlights and breakdowns a lot of the time. Take the under. This is going to be a game for true junkies. We might see Bo Melton at quarterback. Who knows? Hey, if we get that, then we might have a chance. All right, friends, I'm going to go get ready for this game. I appreciate you guys a ton. I'll be back here immediately following the game. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really, really appreciate it. Sorry for all the bots today, but I will be here back after the game. Hopefully, we've got some fun things to discuss. Maybe a big 80-yard Marshawn Lloyd touchdown run and a big 80-yard Matthew Golden touchdown reception to celebrate. But don't get your hopes up on this one. It's going to be bowling shoe ugly. I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. Hope you guys enjoy the game as well. I'll talk to you immediately after. But until then, and as always, go Pack Go.